fifth graders. Today we're going to look at adding and subtracting decimals. And basically we can do this in 2 steps. This is just a nice quick review of what we learned in class this year. So step one, line up the place values vertically. We want to make sure that when we're adding and subtracting, we're subtracting the tens from the tens and the tenths from the tenths. And after you have rewritten them vertically, lining them up by place value, you just add or subtract normally. So we're going to do 4 examples. If you want to, you can print off this note page and you can try the examples on your own, or maybe you have a little whiteboard, or maybe you're just following along, however you want to do it. We have 4 things that we're going to practice. So the first one, I have 29.6 plus 7.85, and our step 1 was to line up the place values vertically. So I'm going to write my first number, 29.6. And vertically means straight up and down, right? So now I see 7.85. I want to make sure that my place values match. So in 7.85, 7 represents 7 ones. That should go underneath the 9 in 29.6 because that 9 is in the ones place. So I would write 7.85 underneath like this. So basically you can just line up your decimal points and that will put all of the other place values in order. Once you're here, add or subtract normally. So this is an addition problem. I see here that I have a 5 and there's nothing above it, and what number represents nothing? 0. So I can go ahead and fill that in. It's easier to understand what this means. So 0 plus 5, 5. So I have 5 hundredths. 6 plus 8 is 14. So there's my 4 and carry my 1. Now this decimal point, I'm just going to drop that down so I can keep the tenths where they are. And I have 9 plus 1 is 10 plus 7 is 17. And 2 plus 1, 3. 37.45. That's basically it. Let's try another addition problem. I tried to give you a couple of strange ones. So I have 17 plus 14.84. We're going to line these up vertically. I write down my 17, and now you see there's not a decimal point, right? So where am I supposed to put the 14.84? How does this work? Well, if you have 17, remember that's the same thing as 17.0. That has the same value. 17th and 0 tenths is the same as 17, period, right? So now I can go ahead and line up this 14.84 underneath just like that. And again, I see that there is nothing above this, so I'm going to go ahead and write the number that represents nothing to hold my place. And last time I checked, 4 plus 0 was 4. 8 plus 0 is 8. I'm going to drop down my decimal point so that my tenths and hundredths stay tenths and hundredths. 7 plus 4 is 11. And 1, 2, 3. 31.84 should be your final answer. All right, a few subtraction problems and you'll be on your way. I have 21.24 minus 9.364. Step 1, line up your place values vertically. So my first number is 21 and 24 hundredths. I'm going to write that down. I want to subtract 9 and 364 thousandths. I'm going to line this up. I'm going to make sure my decimal points are lined up. This 9 should be right underneath that 1. And then I have 3, 6, 4. And this is a subtraction problem. Maybe you're noticing, oh, there's nothing above that 4. Yeah, you need to put nothing above that 4, a 0. You can't take 4 away from 0. So with this, we're going to need to borrow. So 4 becomes 3, and this 0 that we had is now 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. You can't take 6 away from 3, so I need to borrow again. I'm going to borrow from this 2, and it's 1. And now instead of 3, I have 10 plus 3, which is 13. 13 minus 6 is 7. I can't take 3 away from 1. I have to borrow again. So this 1 becomes a 0, and now I have 11 minus 3. I had 1. When I add 10 to that 1, it becomes 11. And 11, 10, 9, 8. Boom. My decimal point, I drop it down. And when I look at this, I see 20 minus 9, and I know that 20 minus 9 is 11. If you don't see this as 20 minus 9, you see this as 0 minus 9, then go ahead and borrow from your 2 and make it a 1. And you can add 10 to that 0, and 10 minus 9 is 1, and 1 minus nothing is 1. 11.876 is what you should have. All right, last but not least, I have 42 minus 13.7. So I'm going to go ahead and write the number that's first on top. It does matter when you subtract. And I'm supposed to subtract 13.7 from that. Now again, when you're lining this up, if I don't see a decimal point, there really is one. 42. If I were to have $42, couldn't I say that? Yes, I sure can. So you can add a decimal point and a 0. There technically is a decimal point after a whole number. You just don't see it all the time. So 13.7, I'll write that here. And this is a subtraction problem. Now, we didn't have to add to this second 0, so I'm going to kind of ignore it. I'll put my pen right over top of it like it never happened. Maybe I will. There we go. Okay. So, I can't take 7 away from 0. I need to borrow from my 2. It becomes a 1. And now instead of 0, I have 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. My decimal point stays in the same spot because this is 3/10. And if I didn't put the decimal point there, it would be 3. That's much different. Okay, I can't take 3 away from 1, so I'm going to borrow from this 4, it becomes 3. And when I add 10 to this one, it becomes 11. 11 minus 3, again, is 8. And 3 minus 1 is 2. So we have 28.3. So basically, all you need to do to add and subtract decimals is line up the place values vertically. The decimal point helps you to do that. And then add or subtract normally. And remember, when you see a whole number, there's always kind of an imaginary decimal point right after that. That should help you when you're lining it up. Good luck!